perfectly manicured green lawns you see around Cape Cod and the islands today are a relatively new phenomenon. An old, traditional Cape Cod lawn has a mix of sand, crabgrass, pine needles, oak trees, and weeds. These environmentally and ecologically sound lawns have unfortunately fallen out of favor. What can homeowners do to create ecologically sound landscapes that are friendly to our local waters and wildlife and the environment, as well as being pleasing to the eye? We talked with local ecological landscaper Michael Talbot about this issue.
We specialize in ecological landscaping, which is taking the principles that you learn from how naturally occurring ecosystems function, their sustainability and balance, and applying those principles to human-built landscapes. One of the principal advantages of ecological landscaping is that it reduces the impacts on our surface and groundwaters. It also protects and even enhances wildlife, and it also much better protects people, pets, children, and the like. And finally, if you do it properly, it creates landscapes that are much more enjoyable. This landscape was designed and installed with those ecological principles in mind. I mean, for example, we tried to preserve as much of the existing vegetation, which requires essentially no maintenance at all. And then instead of putting large areas of turf, we incorporated these borders with native plants. We've got our wonderful evergreen holly. The inkberry is a great plant, even appropriate near the seacoast. Normally people would have had turf going right down to the roadway. We actually put in a buffer of native white pine and red cedar. Now the red cedar would grow great along the coast. The sourwood tree, which is really from south of here, but it's a beautiful ornamental, again related to the rhododendron, so it'll do well here on Cape Cod. And we did this instead of just having lawn down here. It gave us a wonderful screen. It created this garden room. And then we've just got enough turf in here to be able to enjoy it. Well, if you're looking at what you can do starting now for next year to improve the environment, I think one of the first things is just making an overall assessment of your landscape. How can you change your practices so you can use less and still have an attractive lawn? What other plantings can you incorporate? Trees and shrubs in particular, particularly native ones, will bring wildlife. If you include native meadows, you'll have butterflies and other beautiful things around there. And next year, instead of going right for that 4-step program or that 5-step professional program, look at alternatives. Look at different ways of using, slow release natural organic fertilizers, spot treating weeds, or hand pulling them instead of constantly dumping weed in feeds. Making sure you're using side guards on your spreaders, or your professionals are, and they're blowing it off of roadways so it's not going right into the waters. All of those things are things you can think about changing for next year.